Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wednesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome back. Yes, welcome back. I am Jeff McAleer, your host here once again at The Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the Grand Poobah. So, getting a late start tonight. Fingers crossed the sound is not all messed up, because it has been pretty weird the last 20 minutes. And we'll get into that in just a moment. But do want to welcome you aboard. If this is the first time you've tuned in, just let me point out, this is very, very casual. Just talking about tabletop gaming for the most part. Every once in a while we'll talk a little bit, maybe PC games or pop culture. But it's about 99.9% tabletop gaming around here. So do want to point out, this is not anything like rocket surgery whatsoever either. Very, very casual. It is a live stream that is on YouTube, so that also means that the chat is available on YouTube as well. It's not on screen. One of the ways that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay, but I do pay attention to the chat as best I can. So if you want to say howdy, or maybe you got a question or a comment, by all means, please chime in. I will do my best to respond. And of course, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and of course, if you do subscribe, don't forget to ring that notification bell. It will tell you not only when the Daily Dope streams live, Monday through Thursdays, right here on YouTube. It'll also let you know when I upload standalone videos as well. So far in chat, we've got William McGinnis and Dan from No Enemies Here. So, William says, sound is good, it's a little soft. Do you mean it's a little quiet? Or a little soft? So, I will actually kind of, same as yesterday. I don't know, I listened to the show on the laptop yesterday. It seemed same as yesterday, same as tomorrow. No, it will not be the same. Well, it might be the same tomorrow, because I don't know if the new preamp is going to arrive before I get the show in. So it's a little quiet. All right, so here is the issue. And this is why I'm late starting off tonight. At 2 minutes before 7 Central, I was all good to go. Everything was fine. Had made a couple of test recordings, make sure that the sound was all right. Hopefully the sound is in sync as well. I think it should be. And with that 2 minutes before, I did my last little test recording, and of course, so of course I had to shut everything down, had to restart the computer, had to set everything back up, get OBS back up. So Will McGinnis says, your voice is lovely, soothing, warm and fuzzy. I wish. I have a face for radio and a voice for the silent film. So there you go. So, and of course, Dan is like, no, anything but the preamp. And of course, the other thing was already, okay, looks like everything's okay. Gonna start up. And Pinky comes down, who is still floating around down here. And she is just in fine form. Wah! Hey, at least I'm getting the show done. Getting it going. All right, Flamin' Heron is in chat with us as well. Good deal. We got a good Wednesday starting off. Speaking of Wednesday, tonight is Wednesday, May 13th, 2020. This is episode 486 of The Daily Dope. So we're going to jump on into the news. I got a good amount of news. I got some cool stuff. I have a news piece that is a total blast from the past and did not see this coming at all. We'll get to that in just a little bit. But first off, let's jump on into tonight's tabletop gaming news. If this will change. There we go. There's a cooperative Viking horror game that has passed $500,000 in funding on Kickstarter for Mythic Games. And I've got the dope on Hell, the Last Saga. It's year 999. The Christianization of the Scandinavian countries is ongoing, but some Vikings are stubborn and are fighting to keep their culture and their beliefs. A new territory has been discovered, which could be the promised land they have always looked for, where gods walk among the worthy, a land of opulence, abundant harvests, and good living, the very idea of Valhalla. The first expedition settled there and founded a colony. Months later, a second expedition is sent there. The sea voyage goes very terribly and many men die. A small band of survivors arrive hungry and exhausted at the colony camp, which does not look at all like what they imagined. They discover an icy and disturbing place, immersed in the mist, surrounded by an oppressive forest, and empty. None of the settlers are there. What was their longship is planted into the earth in the center of the camp like a sinister totem. They will have to rebuild the camp, survive the hostile conditions, explore this cold and frightening land before understanding what happened, and solve the mystery. Hell, the Last Saga is a cooperative survival horror Viking board game, say that 5 times fast, created by the duo behind Smug, Rays of Moloch, by Seaman. Cool minis or not. Game designer David Riccotto and art director Christoph Madura. Game offers players the chance to lead a small group of survivors, each with their own background and secret motives. The players must cooperate if they want to survive the immediate dangers of cold, hunger, and external threats, but they will also have to complete their inner quest to be worthy of the saga that will retain their name. Hell, the Last Saga is highly narrative, with chapters to read according to what the players accomplish. The game mechanisms mix. Let me get a sip here. My gosh. This Flaming Heron says Vikings are the flavor of the month. I think they're the flavor of the decade. Hell, the Last Saga is highly narrative, with chapters to read according to what the players accomplish. The game mechanisms mix exploration, tactical combat with a bit of resource management. Storytelling and background are ubiquitous, and replayability comes from the unique way you have to replay a failed mission. There is a Kickstarter video, which is actually very well animated. Very little game information, though. There's background information, but it is pretty cool, so let's take a look.
Arthur, Aegir, Thor, Jormungandr, Loki, Angerloth, Othin, Sarthur.
And so begins the Exodus beneath the opal eye of destiny. Gifta, watch over the fleet of the brave, grant them mercy and support. At the whim of the winds and the tattered sprays of foam, we float on the tumultuous tresses of Aegir's daughters. Treacherous mermaids who whisper their flatteries and lead us straight into the grasp of the tempest, which Aegir, father of the waters, wields in his wrath. Our quest continues, snaking through rocks whose summits lay hidden in the clouds. When will the loss of men and reason cease in the face of this watery labyrinth? we alone in the face of destiny, guided by the tortured souls of our brothers? But it seems we give in too hastily to despair.
Landed ahead!
Where are our brothers who disappeared without trace so many solstices ago? The answer lies there ahead of us.
Hell of Last Saga is for 1 to 4 players. There's no age, range, or recommendation. I'm taking a guess it's probably 13 and up. And it does play in 1 to 2 hours. The project is well past its funding goal. As I mentioned, it's already socked away over $500,000. You can reserve a copy for a $129 pledge. That includes all unlocked stretch goals. There is only one level. There's only one pledge level. And you can reserve a copy through May 26th. Expected delivery is June of next year. Gotta say, this does look pretty interesting. The minis look cool. So here's what throws me off a little bit. And it's got nothing to do with Mythic Games. It's more, I actually floated this question out there on Twitter earlier today about Simon, cool mini or not. And I noticed that, like with the Simon Kickstarters, there's always all this just buzz about them, and everybody's all pumped about the games when they're on Kickstarter, and then when they come out, you never hear anything about them. Okay, maybe a little bit, the zombie game, Zombicide, or whatever you want to call it. But for the most part, I don't know, and I was kind of curious why that is. That said, this looks pretty sweet. The miniatures look very cool, although, let's let these come by one more time. Here's what throws me off a little bit. These painted miniatures look like these are painted prototypes that are a larger scale. These look kind of like the 72mm Andrea Italian minis that you see out there that are just beautiful. I think they're still around. I don't know, because that paint job just does not look like 32mm miniatures by any stretch. Don't know, but I'll tell you right now, for $129, it has unlocked loads of stretch goals, and those stretch goals are mainly extra miniatures. Something to keep in mind. Moving right along, it is Wednesday. I like to always talk about at least one war game on Wednesdays. So, local Runkeys, Almoravid, Reconquista, and Riposte in Spain, 1085 to 1086. Say that one 5 times fast. Is up on GMT's P500. I've got the dope. Andaluz, 1085. The Western Jewel of Islam had broken into pieces. The petty Taifa emirs, who inherited the once mighty caliphate, squabbled and fought, then paid the Christian lords parias in gold to avoid fighting at all. Alfonso VI, Christian king of a unified Leon and Castilla, could now put his extorted dinars to work. He would muster a great feudal host, not merely for plunder, but to rip out the heart of Muslim Spain. He would seize the ancient Visigothic capital of Toledo, and with it the great central plain, to declare himself Imperator of all Iberia. But Alfonso would find there was fight left in Andaluz, as Christian strikes radiating from Toledo were too much for even the emirs in their pleasure palaces to bear. Al-Mutamid of Sevilla, the strongest among them, would risk the Taifa dynasty's independence and call to arms a Muslim force unlike any that the Christian kings had faced. Granada and Badajoz would join him to invite the Almoravid fundamentalists in to save the Muslim faithful. Yusuf, Sultan al-Mirabitan, I guess I was like sitting there going, wow, his flaming hair and said, be happy you don't have to pronounce too many Viking names. Yeah, don't worry, this news piece is making up for it. Anyway, the Sultan had secured his Berber Empire in Africa and seized a port and fleet just across the Mediterranean Strait from Al-Madamids Algeciras. A titanic campaign for Spain was set to unfold. Almoravid, Volume 2 in Volko Runke's Levian campaign series, takes us from Nevsky's frozen northeast frontier to medieval Latindom's opposite corner. The same base rules show the muster of lords, their levy of forces and capabilities, and their command of armies on campaign across 11th century Spain. But Al-Andalus was not Russia. Your lords will enjoy good Roman roads and gentler seasons, but must bypass or smash against Iberia's profusion of tough Moorish fortifications. Taifa politics and Perias tribute will guide your military strategy. African troops, bloodthirsty crusaders, the infamous Cid, yes, El Cid is in this. Each may or may not make their appearance, and all will play out across a field half again as large as that of the first volume. Almoravid, Reconquista, and Riposte in Spain, 1085 to 1086, is for 1 to 2 players, ages 14 and up, plays in an hour or more, or way more, depending on which scenario you're going to choose, and is available at the P500 price of $63, with a planned MSRP of $90. This is over 500 orders, although we have said many times in the past that 500 orders does not necessarily mean GMT is going to go forward and produce a game. But this is Volko Runke. This is a new series that GMT is very high on. We'll see it get made. I just don't know how many orders are going to take before they decide, okay, now we're going to go to print. And of course, with COVID-19 out there, still a lot of companies aren't getting things produced just yet. But this is definitely one to keep an eye out for. Unfortunately, I have not gotten a chance to review Nevsky yet because of COVID-19. I have not actually really had a chance to do much gaming with anybody unless it's remotely done. So hopefully, because we're still under stay at home. It's not necessarily stay at home order. It's not like we aren't allowed to go out, but it's shelter in place here in Illinois, and it's still going on. So by all means, check out this new. Well, I shouldn't say it's new. This P500 has been up for a little bit, but definitely give it a look. I have to point out, Nevsky's very, very unusual, very different. I just have not had a chance to play it enough to put a review out there. Next news piece. The latest free stay-at-home, play-at-home download for Dungeons & Dragons has arrived from Wizards of the Coast. And I've got the dope on Pudding Fair. Break a curse that echoes through time. You awaken on the morning of the Pudding Fair, just as you did yesterday, and the day before that, and the day before that. What is this, Groundhog's Day? Huh? What? To escape the loop, you must break a curse that strikes to the heart of halfling and gnome lore. Pudding Fair is a 3 to 4 hour Dungeons & Dragons module for character levels 1 through 4. It is part of a series of adventures that expands upon the material presented in Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. It can be played on its own or as a part of any D&D campaign. The 24-page adventure is a free download through May 16th at Dungeon Masters Guild. So once again, we continue to see Monday through Friday a new freebie popping up from Wizards of the Coast. So they have actually provided a lot of good stuff. And I did check, this does not have a Fantasy Grounds module as part of it, but we have seen quite a few of those as well. So pretty sweet, pretty nice. Alright, so this is the news piece coming up that is a blast from the past and came completely out of left field. Freely Publishing today revealed plans to bring a new edition of the classic post-apocalyptic military role-playing game Twilight 2000 to Kickstarter this August. I've got the dope. A new edition of the classic role-playing game Twilight 2000 was announced today by Free League Publishing. Yeah, I know, I just said that. Makers of the Alien RPG, in partnership with Game Designers Workshop and Amargosa Press, not Amargosa, Amargosa Press. The new edition goes back to the roots of the franchise with a box set for sandbox role-playing in the devastation of World War III. It will come to Kickstarter in August to be released in early 2021. The new edition of the apocalyptic RPG Twilight 2000 will be the fourth in the series, the first being released by Game Designers Workshop in 1984. Just like the original version, the new edition is set in a year 2000, devastated by war, now in an alternate timeline where the Moscow coup of 1991 succeeded and the Soviet Union never collapsed. The first edition of Twilight 2000 was an iconic game for me back in the 80s, and we are humbled and honored to work with Mark Miller and Game Designers Workshop to bring a new edition to life. The original game was really ahead of its time. Our goal is to build on the amazing sandbox survival gameplay and develop it further, making it more accessible using the tools of modern game design, said lead game designer and Free League founder Tomasz Herenstam. Just like the original game, the new edition of Twilight 2000 is set in a Poland devastated by war, but the game also offers an alternative Swedish setting, as well as tools for placing the game anywhere in the world. In the game, players take roles of survivors in the aftermath of World War III, soldiers or civilians. Their goal, beyond surviving for another day, can be to find a way back home, to carve out their own fiefdom where they are, or to find out more about the mysterious Operation Reset, and maybe, just maybe, make the world a little bit better again. The core gameplay uses a hex-crawling system established in the post-apocalyptic Mutant Year Zero and survival fantasy Forbidden Lands RPGs, both Silver Any winners for Best Rules in 2015 and 2019, developing it further to fit the gritty world of Twilight 2000. The core rules are built on the Year Zero engine used in those games, as well as in the Alien RPG, but heavily adapted to fit Twilight 2000 and its focus on gear and gritty realism. The Twilight 2000 Kickstarter will not hit until August, so stay tuned. I will definitely bring you more info as it becomes available. Let me grab a quick sip here. Trevor Just and Viper Dave have popped in to chat tonight. Welcome aboard. I believe this might be Trevor's first time joining us live in chat. So, here's a few thoughts about Twilight 2000. And once again, excuse me for a second. Another cat here just hanging on my nose. I couldn't get rid of it. Couldn't get rid of that. I was like... Trevor says, oh, popping the cherry today. All right, okay. All right. Anyway, so... Very, very cool. And William McGinnis is like, wow. Yeah, that old GDW game. I had this. I had all the original Twilight 2000. So did my friend Scott from high school, who I am still connected with on Facebook. And I had posted this on Facebook. And he was like, holy cow. And he mentioned, hey, I still got all of my Twilight 2000 stuff. So, on one hand, I'm like, cool, this is sweet, excellent. Because, to my memory, and it has been a long time since I looked at Twilight 2000, any of the editions, but I seem to recall the game mechanics were pretty ass backwards. I don't remember the game mechanics being very good. In fact, I seem to recall they were kind of a train wreck. But the setting was cool. Now, Free League Publishing is going to bring this to Kickstarter, and they've got a bunch of partners with this. It's not just GDW, which doesn't really exist. There's no website or anything like that. And Mark Miller was one of the founders of GDW, so was Frank Chadwick. In fact, I could have swore Twilight 2000 was more Frank Chadwick's baby than it was Mark Miller's baby, but maybe I'm wrong. So, we're going to see the Mutant Year Zero, or I think they just call it Year Zero, or Year Zero engine, for the mechanics. And those mechanics are pretty good. I like those mechanics. They're pretty easy. It's, once again, you're just rolling a certain amount of dice, and if you roll a 6, it's a success. I mean, that's kind of what it is. It's pretty easy. But why in the world are they keeping it in the year 2000? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Because one of the selling points of Twilight 2000 originally was it was near future and it was possible. I mean, it was within the realm of possibility that something like this would take place. Whereas now it's 20 years later, it's just weird. I don't understand why they would kind of handcuff themselves almost to that setting. It doesn't leave them a lot of room to grow and expand. So, I mean, if you were doing something like Twilight 2050, you could throw a little, like, future technology in there, not crazy sci-fi stuff, but I'm just surprised. I am excited to see this, I have to admit. I think that's very cool. And as William McGinnis points out, yeah, that's true. We bought it for the setting and used GURPS. Because, everybody knows GURPS is super easy. I don't have a hatred for GURPS like other people do, though. Strangely enough. I love the Wild Cards book that they did. I had GURPS stuff. But the funny thing is, I used to buy GURPS setting books to utilize in other systems. So I did kind of the opposite of what William McGinnis is talking about. So I am curious about this. This should be kind of cool. And I am hopefully going to be interviewing Tomas next week. This will certainly be on the list of things to talk about, to find out a little bit more about. All right, my final news piece. The latest sourcebook for the hit Conan Adventures in an Age Undreamed Of has arrived from Modiphius Entertainment. As you can hear, Pinky's excited about that. I actually have considered making a little graphic, almost like a Red Alert, like Star Trek Red Alert, and have like the Red Alert going and then have like a little picture of Pinky in the middle of it. Just have that little overlay to pop up whenever she runs down here. Anyway, so I have the dope on Conan the Adventurer. Welcome to the Southern Kingdoms. There are half a dozen powerful factions plotting and intriguing against each other. There are continual brawls in the taverns and streets, secret murders, mutilations, and executions. And there are women, gold, wine, all that a mercenary wants. Conan the Adventurer is the definitive guide to the lands south of the Styx River, including the serpent-haunted Stygia, Kush, Darfar, Keshin, Punt, Zimbabwe. I don't remember that country in Conan. And that vast region known to the folk of the Dreaming West as the Black Kingdoms. Rife with mystery and ancient, long-forgotten cultures and ruins, this region is brimming with potential for adventure and intrigue. In this 121-page full-colored PDF, you'll find new archetypes like the Adventurer, Griot, Tomb Guardian, and Witchfinder, including talents, war stories, educations, equipment, and other background elements to bring them to life. Important characters, high and low. King Stefan of Stygia, Agira, the Witchfinder, Tananda of Shambhala, the Sorcerer, Tumis, Thalis of Zuthal, Almeric, King Succumbe of Tumbaku, King Zeba of the Hefaki, Garulga of Kashan, the roguish Stygian adventurer Thutmikra, and others. Wow. It's like, we're making up for no Viking names there in the first news story. PDF also includes stunning art and maps produced by a variety of new and renowned Conan artists. A guide to the countries of Stygia, Kush, Darfar, Keshan, Punt, Tumkala, Zimbabwe, and the other Black Kingdoms, describing their histories and their cultures and cities lost to human ken. Conan, described during his period as a war chief in the Black Kingdoms, is also part of the book. We've also got terrifying beasts and monsters, giant scorpions, the pig devil, the crawler in the dark, the immortal vampire queen Akavasha, that's actually a pretty good story, and the dreaded Olamanga and its devil riders. Myths and magic, such as the infamous cabal of sorcerers called the Black Ring, timeless Gazial, the lost women of the Flowery Vale, the cults of Ajuju and Jil, and more. Developed with leading Conan scholars, this is the place for Hyborian Age adventure, just as Howard created it. This book requires the Robert E. Howard's Conan Adventures in an Age Undreamed Of core book in order to use. Due to the nature of the source material, this source book may not be suitable for some readers, and discretion is advised. Please ensure you discuss any potential issues before using this material. The 112-page PDF is available right now. It came out today at Drive-Thru RPG for $14.99. And of course, as I always like to point out, if you are going to visit Drive-Thru RPG or any of the One Bookshelf sites, please visit thegaminggang.com first. We are affiliated with One Bookshelf, so click on one of our banner ads, and that way if you do make a purchase, I get a piece of the action. A little piece. And that really does help keep the Gaming Gang around. Alright, so that's it for the news. Alright, good deal. So Fleming here and says, sounds like I'm speaking Klingon. So William McGinnis says that they did Swashbuckler, a Protestant Reformation campaign, using GURPS. Wow, that's pretty cool. Alright, so looks like we were dropping some frames there. May have had a little bit of a hiccup with the stream, but we should be okay. Looks like we're back up to, yeah, looks like we're all right now. Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. So, jumping back in. So, taking a quick peek here. A lot of stuff was going on in chat while I was trying to butcher all those names and places from Robert E. Howard's stories. So, GURPS is best for non-fantasy, according to William Gibson. I guess I could see that. I guess, yeah, I could see that. I'm a fan of basic role-playing from Chaosium. I like that percentile system. So, William McGinnis mentioned Swashbuckler, so the first thing that popped into my head was the old Yaquinto game, Swashbuckler, which my friend John Walsh, who had designed some games for Victory Point Games, I don't think he's doing any game design anymore. He was working on kind of an upgrade to Swashbuckler. In fact, we had kind of talked about doing something which is still kind of on a back burner, not with John, but still something that I wish I knew some solid designers better. And I mean designers of more like kind of like skirmish level games. So anyway. So Fleming Heron says, yeah, these sorts of games never go down well with groups I run. Kabuki Kid is in chat. Walked into Gibson Talk. So, Good to see Double K arriving towards the end of chat, or towards the end of the show. But hey, that's okay. Anyway, so that was it for the news. I do want to point out, I still have not received the Call of Cthulhu slipcase through the mail. So check the tracking information today. And all they keep doing is just changing the date. So it arrived in Chicago on the 8th. And then from there on out, it's like every day it says it's in transit to its destination. Doesn't say out for delivery or anything like that. It says in transit to its destination. So on Monday, it showed the 11th in transit. On Tuesday, it showed the 12th in transit. Same thing today. And from my experience, I have had this happen a couple of times. It's either A, lost, and they just keep doing that as they try to see if they can find it, or it's been damaged beyond recognition. That's another one that I do notice that the post office will start screwing around with the tracking information. So what's probably going to happen is the tracking information will not show anything. That's the next thing that happens if it's lost or been damaged. Suddenly the tracking information will just be like nothing. So, we shall see. But I have pointed out to my contact at Chaosium, not Michael O'Brien. He's too high up in Chaosium to bug with that. But I did point that out that, hey, they should probably keep an eye on that tracking number because it's not looking like it's going to show up. So Trevor mentions, I broke out the Middle-earth collectible card game. Well, that's a blast from the past. You know what it was actually, we got some time. We'll hang out until about 8, in chat and that. But, you know what was a game that, okay, so my best friend Elliot Miller, you watch the show, you already know. Elliot used to be part of the gaming gang. Until he went off to start his own site, which he doesn't really do anything for anymore. But we got into the Star Trek collectible card game that was from Decipher, the one that was Next Generation. That was kind of interesting, but the problem became where it was like everybody kind of had the same cards in their decks. It was a little weird. It was kind of an interesting game. Honestly enough, I don't really recall how it played out mechanically all that well. Although I do remember when Elliot got the Dwight Schultz card. Oh, now I'm trying to remember the character's name. Can't think of it off the top of my... Barkley. That was it. Barkley. When he got the Barkley card, he was like, oh yeah! I was like, what? What are you so excited about that for? So Flaming Heron says, yeah, got a delivery from the UK the other day, but had no tracking, so it was a surprise. Yeah, things just pop in here out of nowhere. Usually I know what's coming. I'll have an idea of what's being sent to me. But every once in a while, things just appear magically that I don't know anything about. And I'm like, oh, wow. Sweet. Very nice. So what's coming up this weekend, I should be sharing previews of the alpha as well as exchange. So we've got that. I was hoping if we get that Call of Cthulhu, I could maybe bust out the review for the Investigator's Handbook. I am going to review the starter set for Traveler, so look forward to that. And I'm going to review Bestiary 2 for Pathfinder 2nd Edition from Paizo Inc. So all of this stuff should be going on Friday and Saturday. Sunday, we are hoping to kick off our Traveler campaign with Elliot and his son Brian, my nephew Cameron, and his girlfriend Lexi. Fingers crossed. Whoops, as I bump the... I can't wait until the boom comes in. So I've got other stuff coming in. I'll mention that in a minute. Trevor says, played Highlander once. Wasn't my jam. You know what? I played it too, and I don't remember it being very good. I have to say, I remember the year after Magic hit, because the first year Magic came out at Gen Con, nobody knew what it was. And by that Sunday, you could have bought Magic Alpha boxes dirt cheap because they didn't want to have to ship that stuff back. The next year afterwards, because in that period, Magic just exploded onto the scene. We got a Gen Con and everybody's got a collectible card game, and they were almost all complete dog shit. They were just awful. So, as Kabuki Kid asks, is it pronounced bestiary or bestiary? I hear it both ways. That's what throws me off, because if you read it as it's spelled, it's a bestiary. But what's included in this? A bunch of beasts and creatures. So I also hear people pronounce it bestiary. So I used to call it a bestiary, and then had people just rail me on YouTube in the comments. So I was like, okay, fine. Then I'll just say bestiary. So it's like, yeah, yes. So Kabuki Kid played the Highlander collectible card game too. Nice. Very nice. Very cool. But anyway, so we should be getting the campaign going. Everybody's got their characters. And I am going to record it, and I will post it. I don't expect people to really watch it, but I'm looking forward to it. I am looking forward to it. And I will point out, it's probably not going to be by the book Traveler. So, oh well, just how I do things. All right, anyway, that is it for tonight's show, as I always like to point out. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. If you do, don't forget, ring that little notification bell. It'll not only notify you when the Daily Dope streams live, Monday through Thursday nights, right here on YouTube. I'll also tell you when I upload my standalone videos, such as this stuff coming soon. Or the Pathfinder Bestiary 2 video that has gotten a lot of views, which I really appreciate. Very, very cool. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com, where you'll find news and reviews of all this tabletop gaming stuff I've been talking about. Plus, you always find the links for everything as well. So tomorrow is Thursday, so I want to remind everybody, don't forget, Thursday means a brand new PC game over at Epic Games Store. So don't miss out. It's a mystery this week. I'm curious what it's going to be. I really am. I'm very, very curious to see what the big mystery is. Hopefully it's something good, not just a clunker. Trevor's like, what? Tomorrow's Thursday? I know, it's hump day. Tomorrow is my Friday, effectively. Robert Carroll is in chat. Hi, Robert. Thanks for chiming in here. So, Traveler was my first before D&D. Looking forward to it. Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know if I should be looking forward to it or not. I gotta be honest. I'm sure, Elliot and his son Brian. His son Brian sounds like he's really going to be into this. Although, I kind of get the impression he might turn into a rules lawyer, which I used to be I was a very big rules lawyer back in my teens and very early 20s. So I'm hoping that's not going to be the case. So, but on the flip side, Cameron and his girlfriend tend to be kind of need a little oomph as far as, being a little more excited about when they're playing. So Robert says, Traveler D&D top secret. Yes. Behind Enemy Lines. That is a blast from the past. That is another role-playing game that my friend Scott ran. I remember the Guns of Navarone adventure. We played that one. That was That was pretty interesting. Yeah, I remember that. Don't remember a ton about it, but I do remember the game itself, and I do remember the Guns of Navarone adventure that came with it. Wasn't it a? Was that a? Nah, I want to say, was that a FGU game? For some reason, I want to say it was an FGU game because of the artwork. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't FGU. Fantasy Games Unlimited, I believe, is what FGU stood for. Yep. You're right. If you got hit, you died. It was FASA. See, I was going to say FASA, and then I was like, no, it wasn't FASA. Anyway, yes. Yeah, there was pretty easy to get a total party kill, and very lethal combat, Robert, is right on the money with it. Actually, a lot of people don't realize Traveler's got some pretty damn lethal combat, too. So, especially, I'm going to get a kick out of it, because Brian's character is, he's psionic. I gotta read up on the psionic rules, because I haven't really dug into them. But he's got below average strength, he's got below average dexterity, and his endurance is average. But he's got like all these scientific skills and things like that, so it's going to be a kind of interesting setup here. So hopefully we have some fun, and it's worth watching. I don't know if it will or not. Fingers crossed. All right, everybody. That is it for tonight's show. For those of you who popped in, hung out, and chat, thank you very much. I always appreciate when folks keep me company while I'm sharing the tabletop gaming news, as opposed to me just sitting here, just blah, 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 into the ether. But if you do watch the show after the fact, maybe even on Memorex, I really appreciate that as well. So I will be back tomorrow. So everyone enjoy the rest of your Wednesday night / Thursday morning. And of course, during this pandemic, be smart and stay safe. Oh, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, by all means, subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel by clicking right here. And of course, if you want to catch up on past episodes of The Daily Dope, check out this playlist. And if you'd like to see what YouTube's recommending you take a peek at from the channel, just give a click right over here. Of course, I'm Jeff McAleer, and once again, thank you very much for watching.